Have you set any goals for March? Pop them in the comments down below so we can compare and contrast. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. I'm Kat and this is Kat Talks, the place where I talk. If you don't know, every month I make a new bullet journal. This month I have decided to do an artsy theme, and this is Harry Potter. Both because it is the Owls month, so the Owls is a month-long readathon that I will be participating in, and it is run by G over at Book Roast, link down below, of course. So this is the first page in my spread. And then the second page is going to be where I put my goals, you see, in the goals. And we have little house cups. I nicked this from Pinterest. I nick all of these things from Pinterest, so I'm sure you can find them. And then finally, I have a kind of like mind dump page where I put my YouTube videos here with some potioneers, and then a tiny Hermione and my TBR. I like to keep my TBR in written form just because I like referring to it and not my video. So I'm going to be talking you through my goals and what I'm going to be putting in those Quidditch goals today. This is going to be kind of a month-long thing. I'm going to see how I do it. For those of you who don't know, I set monthly goals every month. I usually set at least 1 and up to 6, and they have particular themes. I try not to go over 6 because eventually it gets a bit complicated. I like focusing my time in very specific ways. So I will set a goal, I will figure out the thing I need to do once a day or once every other day to achieve it, and then I will put a to-do in my to-do list on that reoccurring basis to kind of like inch towards my goal. I also have spreads in my bullet journal where I can track my day-to-day progress towards the goals. The one for March was plant themed and it looked like this. So every side, obviously every day has one. I did not use it very well in March. I had a bit of a depressive episode and my mental health wasn't feeling there, so I kind of let myself do whatever. But once I'm back, I will be doing this. I did this every day in February and January as well. On the left, I put what I want to achieve on the day, and usually I write that either the night before or the morning of. And then on the right, I write what I was grateful for that day, and I do that when I get home or just before bed. My YouTube goals for April will be to get a more aesthetically pleasing backdrop and to continue uploading on a consistent basis. Currently I upload 3 times a week and I'm really enjoying that schedule. I feel like it's something that I can continue to kind of like maintain. However, because I am going away for some of April, hopefully, given Brexit, I just want to make sure that I continue on with that consistent schedule and maybe prepare a few videos in advance so that I don't have to worry about filming while I'm at home with none of my equipment. My TBR was over 20 books long. If you haven't seen it yet, you can check it out here. I color code when I write my TBR in my bullet journal, and I color code whether it is a physical book or Kindle book, a library book, an ARC, things like that. I just really need to specify to myself where I got them from, and then when I read them, I put the number that I read it at in the box to indicate I read it the first, the second, the third, the fourth book I read this month, and then I pop the star rating to the left. So yes, I want to read at least 15 of those books, 2 of which are NetGalley copies, and 1 of which is a review copy sent to me directly by the author. So obviously it is really important to me to kind of like keep up the momentum on that and make sure that I'm doing those new authors a good service. The next goal that I'm going to tell you about is my writing goal. As you know, I am an aspiring author. I have my book out on query to 6 agents, 2 of which have responded with polite rejections, so I'm expecting to get another 4 rejections before the end of this month. It is my goal to send my book to another 6 agents in May. Until that time, I really want to focus on outlining and possibly fast drafting a new novel that I have had the idea for, which is set in a very similar universe, possibly the same universe as my queried book, but which I want to publish on Wattpad. Now, it will have very different characters and themes and everything else, but it will still be a fantasy, and when that's ready to publish, I will of course let you guys know where you can find it. The next goal is exercise and health related. I have recently started running again, and I mean very recently. I've been on 2 runs, and I before that didn't run for 2 years, so I am a very out of shape plodder. I really want to continue this habit and like run 3 times a week and do yoga once a week. This is to counteract some of the bad habits that I've been getting into when we moved house, and also when my partner was very ill. I stopped exercising almost completely, and I would really like to start that again. My work goal is merely to wrap up the project in such a good way that when I leave, my colleagues won't even notice that I am gone. Okay, fine, they'll notice, but they won't like miss me and need me for anything technical. They'll just be able to refer to my notes. My startup goal is to finalize the presentation and look into use cases. We're getting ready now to pitch this idea to folk. We have 1 part-time employee and me, who is sort of a part-time employee whenever I can get the time. Obviously, writing and reading kind of cuts into my startup time, but I'm still intending to be an integral part. It was my idea, and I'm just really excited about it, and I think it's going to do really well. So yep, that is my goal for the startup. Get the pitch ready for investors, maybe give it to 1 investor. Certainly when we are away in England, that might be a really good time to pitch some investors, and also to finalize my work on the front end. Finally, I also like to have a fun goal. Now my fun goal for this month is just going to have a day of book shopping. There is a library sale coming up on the 6th of April, I believe, but unfortunately we won't be going to IKEA, so I can't necessarily go to that. However, I am intending on going to a nearby town all by myself to sit in a bookshop for hours and hours and hours, because I found out that there is one in a nearby town which has a cafe attached to it. It is also quite a large bookshop compared to the ones we have here, and my friends have indicated where there are several second-hand bookshops for me to have a quick look in for English books. Alright, that sums up all of my goals for April. I had 3 major goals for March. The first one was to write every single VSS 365 prompt, which is the very short story everyday prompt on Twitter, as part of the same story. I had really big plans for this, but unfortunately my enthusiasm and my depression kind of like mingled, and I wasn't able to continue with the prompt. However, I do think that my short story I might be able to salvage the short story from the plot idea there and write it up. I do really enjoy doing these prompts on Twitter every day. Obviously I don't always have the motivation or the inspiration, but I do really enjoy writing them. They are a really quick way to kind of share your writing with the world, so I'm definitely intending on continuing doing that, but I'm not going to make it a daily goal. My goal for March was also to get the presentation and front end done for this startup. I didn't do that. Again, with trying to take care of my mental health and also focusing so much on reading, I didn't have as much time as I thought I would for the startup, and I suspect that I will face that challenge again this month. However, I am still keen to do it, so I'm going to set it as another goal this month. And my third goal in March was to read 7 books. As you will know, I mightily overextended on that one. I actually started and finished 13 books in March, which is almost double the goal I set myself, and I'm very proud of that. So that I managed 1 out of 3 goals, so let's see if we can do slightly better this month that we are going into. Wish me luck!